Hey everybody, it's time for the reading nest. Come on.
Are you a children's book author with a story the world needs to hear? At the Reading Nest, we're always looking for heart-filled, imaginative, and beautifully written picture books to share with our young readers and their families. Whether it's your debut title or your 10th release, we'd love to help you get your book into the hands and hearts of more families. Send a copy our way, and you might just see your book featured in one of our cozy storytime episodes, where we highlight the magic of storytelling and all the love behind each page. If you're interested, click the link in the description below to get started. And let's grow little readers together, one story at a time. Bye.
I want to take the time out to say thank you for coming on and supporting me in my journey here at the Reading Nest. It's been a process for me switching over from reading children's books to allowing myself to actually grow and be open to the concept of why did I read these children's books? And so I kind of want to switch gears here and dive deep into books, children's books specifically, every episode. I want to do this concept of why do authors, children's book authors, write children's books? Do they do it from the place of wanting to write for children, or do they do it for a place of their own healing? So I took it upon myself to look at my own journey and go back and look through my YouTube videos of like the books that I've chosen to read over the past few years. And I guess they were also helping me heal through the journey through George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. I kind of chose books that help people heal, which also in turn helped me heal. And I've also had books throughout my adult life of being an educator to have helped me heal as well. A little background about myself. Once again, my name is Patrick. I am originally from Augusta, Georgia. If you don't know where that is, they say it's a small town, but it's not a small town. It's actually a really big city. And there I was introduced to the world of theater and the arts. And that's when I fell in love with performing and being in front of people and wanting to be able to express myself in a different way from everyone else, and especially my family. Like, we grew up in a very sports and athletic family, and I played football and baseball. My brother played baseball and basketball. My sister played softball, and we all, were very active. But I also wanted to do something that was not of the norm, and I got introduced to theater because, hey, one of my friends wanted to go do a play, so I was like, why not stay after school and go figure out what I want to do in middle school and high school. So that's what I did. I did theater for a while. I also graduated with a theater degree. I have a bachelor's in theater education. I have taught pre-K all the way up to 8th grade special education. I've taught Montessori. I've done a lot. So it's been quite a journey to get to where I am. And I started the Reading Nest because I wanted to have a platform where I, a Black male, could highlight the work that Black children book authors were doing for our community. And that was the best thing that I ever done, because it helped me start a platform where I can share these stories that not only help me grow and learn, but also can give back to the community. So that is a little bit why I started the Reading Nest. I do want to start off by letting you know that this is a space where adults, teachers, parents, babysitters, even children, if you want to listen to it, can come and, I guess, heal and listen to a story or listen to a message about a story or a book and possibly go to this bookstore and purchase that book and have it as part of your family collection of books that helped us get through a tough moment in our journey as a family. So that is the reasoning behind all of this, and the reasoning why I want to shift from talking about several books at one time, or introducing different concepts of why reading is important for families, and reading aloud to your children is important. But I want to make the shift of these books not only are for children, but they're for adults as well. And how can we, if we don't want to dive deep into a big novel, because that's not going to help us heal, that's going to help us go on a journey of exploration, because I like fantasy, so I will always read a fantasy book. And I like mythology. I like a lot of things. Horror. I don't read a lot of horror books, but I do like horror. But I also wanted to say that as a teacher and an educator, I have grown to learn to love children's books, because they're short, quick lessons that we not only as children take in, but adults can take in as well. So I want to take shifts. I don't want to keep talking about that, but I just want to say thank you for joining me here. I want to start off with reading a quote from one of my favorite books, my favorite authors. His name is Kobe Yamada, and he has written some of, I think, the books that have helped me step outside of my shell of the reading nest and create more for it. Like, remember, I told you that it started out with me reading children's books, but then I had an idea of what can I do more. And he has a book titled, What Do You Do With an Idea? And he has another book titled Maybe. And these are beautiful stories that you can take home and read to your loved ones, read to your class, to get them to understand that if you do have this idea, how do you nurture it? How do you let it grow into something that you can present to the world? And that's where the reading nest came from. So this book is titled Be Kind. He has a series of books like this. This one's called Be Kind: How to Add More Meaning to Your Moments. And the quote that I want to read today is, "We all have the power to make life a little bit easier for each other. Let the good you think and feel be the good you do." And I want that to sink in for a minute. Because we all choose the life that we have, and we always choose our life forward because we have free will to do whatever. But let the good you think, like, I think good things all the time, so why not do these good things all the time? So I truly like that quote. Thank you, Kobe Yamada. The book, we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk about the book that I want to introduce today. And this book is not an inspirational book. I think it's a heartwarming book where I even have a personal story, how I connected this book to not a kiss, but more so something comforting that from my mom, how this book have helped me heal. So the book that we are going to talk about today is titled The Kissing Hand, and that's by Audrey Penn. All the books that I'm talking about today you can find in my Amazon storefront. The link will be in the description below. But The Kissing Hand by Audrey Penn is a beautiful story of comforting someone when they're going through a difficult situation. Before I dive deep into the book, I want to give you a little background knowledge about Miss Audrey Penn. She started her career out as a ballerina instructor with the National Ballet, the New York City Ballet, and the Stuttgart Ballet, and the Danny Diamond Dance Theater. She also was a choreographer for the U.S. figure skating team, and for the Pan American Games in 1973 and 1976 Olympic gymnastics team. This kind of like is her journey of how she went from dancer to children's book author. So she was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and so she needed a creative outlet like during this process. So she dove deep into writing children's books. Her first children's books was titled Happy Apple Told Me. And that was the first story that she wrote, and it was in her journal. She eventually started taking these books into schools, libraries, hospitals with her educational program called the Writing Pen. I like that, the Writing Pen, with her name is spelled Penn. And this helped her refine her stories. So she says her favorite part about being a children's book author is meeting the readers that she has in schools and out in the world, like in stores and everything, and they inspire her. And that's truly inspirational because she is still a woman of the world who uses the world to help tell her stories.
Are you a children's book author, illustrator, or creative with a story behind the story? Come join me on The Reading Nest, our warm, welcoming podcast and YouTube series where we talk about books, the inspiration behind them, and what it really means to create for children. Whether you're launching a new project or reflecting on your creative journey, we'd love to shine a light on your voice. It's not just about the books. It's about building connections through storytelling. If you're interested, click on the link in the description below, and let's talk about having you on the show. Until next time, bye.
So that's a little interesting, fun fact of how she went from children's book author. And the funny thing is, one of her stories is her family found in her journal when she was a kid the story. And so that kind of helped push her out to publish more stories. But that was her first story. It was called Apple Told Me. And then she wrote The Kissing Hand, which we're going to talk about today, which that is a beautiful story. Now, the story behind The Kissing Hand is she actually saw a raccoon kiss or do something to the baby raccoon, and that's how she wrote this story. So, and she kind of used that to help her in her own inspiration, in her own life with her daughter through this book. There is a big theme of love in this book, and you can feel it. You can actually understand it when you hear the title. It's called The Kissing Hand, and you can only imagine what The Kissing Hand, the book, is about. So, I want to read an excerpt. I want to read the foreword from the book because I think this is a lovely introduction to this book. So listen, it's written by Jean Kennedy Smith, and they're the founder and program chairperson of the Very Special Arts in Washington, D.C. at this time when this book was published. So it says, The Kissing Hand is a story for any child who confronts a difficult situation, and for the child within each of us. You heard that? The child within each of us who sometimes need reassurance. Its gentle text and vibrant illustrations reminded me of the classic children's books I enjoyed with my own children and left me with the warm and wonderful feeling that is the test of a true classic children's book. Even before this book was considered for publication by the Child Welfare League of America, Audrey Penn had presented her story to children in schools, libraries, children's hospitals. And I'm delighted that now it can reach a wider audience and enable people to face many kinds of challenges with the confidence to cope. A child entering a new school or going away to camp, a child entering foster care or residential care, a child facing a temporary separation from loved ones or the death of a parent, grandparent, or other special person, even a fearful adult will find reassurance in these pages. Parents and others who care for children will find an unforgettable way of communicating this message that all of us most need to hear. You are loved. And that's the foreword from the book. So you can only imagine what the story is about if the story touched the person who wrote the foreword as much as it touched me. I do want to read the story to you. I am going to read that to you, but I also want to share my personal story afterwards. But this is a book that helps not only a child cope with the separation from a parent, but also a parent separating from a child. So let's read The Kissing Hand, or I'm going to read The Kissing Hand to you. And I want you to listen, because this is a story that you can bring home to your family, and during a time of comfort when, let's say, mom and dad are on a vacation and they leave their kids with grandparents, or this is your child's first time in school and you want to make sure that they are reassured that they are loved, right? So let's read. Chester Raccoon stood at the edge of the forest and cried. I don't want to go to school, he told his mother. I want to stay home with you. I want to play with my friends and play with my toys and read my books and swing on my swing. Please, may I stay home with you? Now, what does that sound like? That sounds like every kid, right? I'm really not going to read the whole story to you all. I realize we don't want to listen to the whole story, but that just sounds like your child during the moment of high stress of time of, I don't want to do this. Can I just stay with you because you are my safe space? But his mom did tell him, sometimes we all have to do things we don't want to do, even if they seem strange and scary at first. But you will love school once you start. Now, this book is, I'm going to also skip forward. This book is a book that I also read to my pre-K kids when I taught pre-K. I also taught Montessori for 6 years. And this is a book that I kind of hold true to my heart, because I kind of get the parents to understand that if your child is in a new space for the first time, at least for the first 2 weeks of them being separated from you every morning, do a ritual with them to get them to feel safe of going in this space that you are coming back to get them because you love them. Right? That's their biggest fear, that you're dropping them off and you're never coming back, because once again, out of sight, out of mind. The brain is still developing at this time. Right? So mom tells him, you're going to make new friends. You're going to do all of these new things. You're going to do the same things that you're going to do at home. You're going to be able to do with your friends at school. But she did tell him, hey, do you want to know a secret? And it's a very old secret. And this is when their ritual started. Funny enough is today is my second day back in the building. And as the behavior support specialist at this school, we have the honor of, going through the conscious discipline process, which, that's a process that I feel like I've come to grow into doing for the past 19 years of me teaching or me working in education. Is they talked about how to build a connection and connect with your students so they feel safe and they will respond in a positive way to you in a classroom or even at home. I truly like a ritual that mom, dad, and their child and children can do every day that seems familiar with them until they say, hey, I don't need it anymore. I'm good. Right? You want them to always feel safe. So mom says, hey, I have a secret. And it's a very old secret. She learned it from her mother and she learned it from hers. And it's called the kissing hand. Now, I'm going to continue to skip forward because now you can think about what is the kissing hand. The kissing hand is what? That moment of me getting down to your level and listening to you, right? Dysregulating your stress because he is a little stressed, right? Because Chester has to go to a new school. He's not going to go with mommy anymore. He's going to be at a new school with new people. So at this point, you have to get down on their level. Disengage their stress, right? Then you have to make a connection with them, right? Her connection was this kissing hand. So she kissed him in the palm of his hand. So now he won't be sad when he goes to school. Now, here's the twist. Not only was Chester sad and stressed, but how do you think mom felt at that time as well? Mom also felt stressed because she also has to make sure that he's not stressed, but she has to make sure that she's in her calm state so she can actually understand and listen to him so she can make these decisions, right? To help Chester through these moments. But here's something Chester learned. Chester learned that, hey, I'm going to make sure I do one for you too. So Chester kissed mom in her hand and said, now you have a kissing hand too. And he left. So now he understands that when I leave, you have a piece of me, and when you leave, I have a piece of you, and we will stay connected in that way. And that can go on and on for how long? Until they feel safe and comfortable in their new space. And that is the story of the kissing hand. And I truly love this book, Miss Audrey Penn. It was illustrated by Ruth E. Harper and Nancy Leak. This book will be in my Amazon storefront, so please go check it out and please get it. Now, this book highlights challenges children face during an emotional time. It could be an emotional time that is inward, or it can be an outward emotion. I took this book, and you heard my other story about how I got this is a story of how I used it in my classroom. Is I made sure that parents created a ritual with their children in the morning time before they dropped them off, especially in my Montessori classroom, because they had the opportunity to walk their children to the classroom because they were 3, 4, 5, and 6. So they would walk them to the classroom, and they would have their own little thing, like a hug, a high five. They would go out and dance, and things like that I would try to incorporate into my classroom, even as an ounce of, hey, sit with me as I change my shoes before I go into my classroom. Now, how did I use it personally in my own life? As I went off to continue to live by myself in Atlanta, I was there in Atlanta not by myself. My sister lived there too, but I kind of did not have my parents. How do I start? How do I move forward? So reading this book, I kind of like every time I saw my mom, I kind of took a hug from her, right? When she gave me her goodbye hug, that's her hug that lets me know that when I do come back home, I know that I am welcomed and I am loved when I come back home. So this is kind of how I use the kissing hand in my own life of, hey, I know my mom's with me because that last hug is felt for a while. Um I want to make sure that I want you it's kind of buy the book. Start your own ritual. I think that's what I want to say. That's what I'm trying to say is buy this book, read this book with your child, read this book with your class and say, "Hey, what's a ritual that we can do to let me know that hey, while you're here in this building, you are safe and I'm your safe space and you are loved every time you come in this building, you come in this house, you come anywhere, I am there with you and for you." So, and I have an activity for you all at the end, so you guys can continue to do this at home with with your children or your students in the classroom. Create a hand. They can trace their own hand. Sorry. And what you do is, as the adult, have enough hearts, right? And put a heart in the palm of each one of their hands to let them know that, hey, I still have this person with me everywhere I go. Right? So, that is the book of the day. It's titled The Kissing Hand by Audrey Penn. It's a story of coping and connection and understanding that we all go through the same cycle of emotions and we all need to learn how to get to the state of calm. And so as Chester was in his emotional state and mom was in her executive state, we had to say that mom did understand that Chester just needed a little bit of "I love you." So thank you for joining me here at the Nest. Until next time, have a beautiful night.
Thanks so much for spending time with us here at the Reading Nest. Whether you joined us for a story or an inspiring conversation, we hope you leave feeling a little more connected, a little more curious, and ready to keep turning pages. Until next time, keep reading, keep imagining, and remember, every great adventure starts with a story. Until next time, bye.